Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Nisemonogatari Season 1, Episode 6. We're about to take our sister's illness.
We're about to kiss our sister.
Are we going to Kaiki after this? Are we gonna... How?
I don't even think that we're actually... I think what is happening is that this is a fake out. This is a scenario that isn't actually going to play out the way that it is leading on at the end of last episode. I think with the wordage of she can give it to him, the illness, we're trying to trigger some sort of punch
Sting.
or slap or sting representation to Aragi's face because of what he is saying he's going to do to Karen right now.
Yeah.
That is what I am expecting.
You ready?
Yes.
Sweet. Whoa. All the poison.
But some?
Manageable now? Hachikuji.
I would also skip. Yeah, I was
Something's
going to say
wrong.
that greeting was
Yeah.
quite boring.
It's devastating.
You ruined the joke.
You think this is a bit? This is life, Aragi.
Remove the sexual harassment. Nothing left but a flea. Oh, I feel that sometimes.
Little sick.
It takes someone that knows you really well to be able to tell.
Hopefully that trend continues. Whoa.
We got the water, and then now we get this.
Ooh.
Ooh, I love that.
Look at her arms.
I'm losing my temples makes it sound like losing my temper every time. Ooh.
What?
No! Didn't...
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
We
like,
had the
don't
line
scare
earlier,
us.
like in this series, that was
Right.
like, we'll let you know before we go.
Before we go, like, yeah.
Aragi's just fucking with us now.
I know.
Do you think Senjukahara is going to immediately realize something's wrong with us? This is one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite song that we've gotten as an OP for Monogatari. I don't know what about it.
I feel like I need to watch all of them in a row when we're done. Because, like, I think of, like, Sengoku's, like, stands out visually, but Hachikuji's is so fun. Karen B, Part 6. We're sharpening our stationery. That's good.
Oh, shit. Oh my god.
それは事故というものよね。いや事件だ、大事件だ。鉛筆で人を殺した事件が3面トップを飾る。
Oh.
ならば私はその新聞の上で再び鉛筆
Oh my god.
をとりあえず靴を脱いで上がりなさいな荒木君
I don't know if I want to anymore.
お前がそうまで武装準備をしている理由は聞いたら教えてもらえるもんなのか？
怪奇と話をつけに行くのよ
I was about to say
Okay.
because of
荒木
Kaiki.
君が私の保護を拒否する以上私はこ
Oh, like pulling them out like a Jenga tower.
ガチ監禁を保護と言い換えるな。そういえばあの後羽川と話したんだが、
え羽川様
Master Hanekawa.
お前今羽川様って言ったか？
言ってないわ我が校にいじめはありません
So
What?
bullying.
そりゃ
Remember what she said to her supposedly on the phone call?
いろいろ注意されることはあるだろうが。
毎朝羽川さんの靴を磨いているのも私が好きでやらせてい
Yeah.
ただいていること
Mm-hmm.
なんで羽川に対してそこまで卑屈なんだ？ともかく怪奇に会いに行くってことだな。
あの男から受け取った名刺
But we know he's gonna be more careful since Karen.
Oh.
Ghostbuster.
今から僕世界一ひどいことを言うけど、お前これ騙される方も悪くないか？
そういう罠なのよまさかそんな間の抜けた肩書きを名乗るやつが本当に詐欺師だとは思わないじゃない
You're outthinking yourself.
僕もついていっていいか？
Oh.
怪奇と話をつけるなら僕も一緒に。
Holy shit.
I
今の
expected
聞
as
か
much.
なかったことにしてあげてもいいわよ
妹がな、怪奇の被害に遭ったんだよ。高熱にうなされている。今は僕がその怪異を半分ほど引き受ける形でなんとか中和して
What is she making? Like a gun?
だってこの先どう転ぶか不明だ。
荒木君が
Just
半分引き受けた
吸血鬼の治癒スキルがあるから大丈夫ではある。
Makes sense.
さすがに万全とは言い難いけど。
つまりもう後には引けない
Whoa.
わけねそもそも妹さんが絡んでるんじゃ荒木君が引くわけ
That
が
was, yeah, never a
それだけじゃ
possibility.
ない。お前も絡んでる。
怪奇のことは私がつけなければならない決着の一つなのよもしも怪奇がこの町に戻ってこなければこちらから先に探しに行ったほどの
些細なことじゃなかったのかよ。
あれはツンデレッタの
ツンデレッタって。
What actually went down?
5人の詐欺師と言ってもね押野さんの言葉じゃないけれど私は被害者面をするつもりはないのこちらから頼って裏切られたんだからそれで逆恨みしようってほど私の人格はともかくとして
お前の人格は問題ありなんだな。
だけど怪奇だけは別
どうして？
お父さんとお母さんの離婚を促す
Ah.
怪奇だからよそれは許せないことなのそれを許してしまうと私は私でなくなる
Like the financial ruin aspect?
怪奇がいなくともお父さん
Do you hear the song?
きっと離婚したと思うお母さんがいなくなったのは私のせいだと思う
Oh, the crab.
悪意を持ってそうされたことをどうせ早いか遅いかの違いだからと許せると思う
悪意。
怪奇は金欲しさに私の出会ったカニを理由に私の家族をめちゃくちゃにした、今さらどうせ同じことだろう荒木くんのことなんて私にとっては本当は二の次だったのかもね荒木くんを守るなんてのは
An excuse.
別に荒木くんのためにやってるんじゃないのだからよ
そんなことは多分ないさ。カニ、戦場ヶ原の出会ったカニ、そのカニに疲れていた最中の出来事ならばきっと戦場ヶ原はその際には怪奇霊視を憎むことさえできなかったはずだ。怪奇ってのは偽物の詐欺師のはずだろう。それなのにその話はお前のカニに気づいていた風にも聞こえるけれど、
本物以上の力を持つ偽物なんて
Yep.
本物以上に厄介よ
Heard that.
でもそれも今思えばあえて無能を装っていただけかもお父さんから
Deliberately feigned incompetence to draw more money.
今は中学生小遣い稼ぎに勤しんでいるらしいぜ。それを防ごうとしてうちの妹はやられたんだ。
荒木くんの妹も正義マンなんだ
正義なんて。
津賀の木に中のファイヤーシスターズまあ噂は聞いていたんだけれど私の印象では怪奇の不吉に正義は通用しないわよはっきり言うけれど
Being right and being
荒木くんは
strong.
偽善には強くとも
Whew.
悪人には弱い
Weak against someone
だから
truly evil.
正義じゃねえって。お前が犯罪者になるのを見過ごせるか。
罪を犯すつもりはない罰を与えるだけよ
現代社会においてそれは同じだ。戦場ヶ原、お前は知らないのかもしれないけどさ、僕はお前を愛してるんだ。たとえお前が犯罪者になって刑務所に収容されても毎日面会に行くくらい。
Of course.
だけどどうせなら いつでも一緒にいたい。
Look at how high it's got.
どうしてお前と付き合っているのかわからなくなってしまうか。理由なんか必要ないくらいお前が好きだ。行くなら一緒に行こう。お前は僕を守ってくれ。僕はお前を守ってやる。
やばすぎ、超絶かっこいい。私が男だったらそのあまりの男っぽい嫉妬に狂って殺してるわ。女でよかった。あなたを好きでいられる。
Oh.
じゃあ海域のところに一緒に連れて行ってくれるのか。
ええ、ただしその代わり一つだけお願いがあるわ。
お願い。それがどんな願いでもいくつでも引き受ける。
私のお願いが一つだけよ、荒木くん。今回これから海域と会うことで私はけじめをつけるつもり。ご主人様、いえ羽川さんが髪を切ったようにね。
気になるどころの言い間違いじゃねえ。とてもじゃねえが聞き流せ。
羽川さんの前では正座するのが当然。
Oh my god.
弟ですか。
羽川さんが髪を切った。
Oh my
No
god.
way.
あの子が
We had the ending about it.
私は海域と対決することで
I don't know how I feel about this.
私も前に
Maybe we just mean that we're gonna move forward.
で
Maybe we.
だからお願いって何なんだよ。
海域との対決を終えてからその結果がどうであれその時に言うことにするわ。
だったら今言っても同じだろ。
今言ったら伏線にならないじゃん。
Powerful.
荒木君の死後、私はそのお願いをこの場面で口にしたことを後悔しながら一人で生きていく。そしてクライマックスシーンでは重要なアイテムとして誕生日に荒木君からもらった天体望遠鏡が使われ、
天体望遠鏡が使われるようなイベントなんだ。
I don't know. We just pulled out the drawer.
伏線なんか知るか。分かったよ。それでいい。
そうならば一緒に行きましょう。互いに守り合いましょう。
Oh.
くれぐれも勝手に行動するなよ。
当たり前よ。私がこれまで一度でも嘘をついたことがあった。
え
安心なさい。嘘はつくかもしれないけれど約束は守るわ。
そうか。
I believe her because the pencil tower fell.
今夜眠れるとは限らないのだから。
I'm optimistic.
あ
Nice black and white.
N-
Oh no.
I should not have been optimistic. Holy shit.
あいつが行きそうな場所の心当たり。
Back to find Kaiki
Kaiki.
herself.
Yeah.
Maybe like felt a little bit better since some of the illness was taken.
ってことはカレンちゃんは海域の居場所を知ってるのか。
How?
一度逃がしてるんだし。
Yeah.
私も探しに。
お前じゃカレンちゃんと会った時逆に説得されてしまう危険がある。
本当に信用してないんだね。
信用してない。でも心配はし
Though
て
I
いる。
do worry.
でもそれ以上に怒ってんだよ。
How would she have found him again?
それから
うるさいの。騒がしくて眠れやせんわ。お前様が動揺すればその動揺はダイレクトにわしに伝わる
Okay.
じゃ。まったくお前様に負けず劣らず無鉄砲な妹子じゃの。はあ、
Almost as reckless as you.
協力してくれるかって聞いていい？
カッカ。残念ながら今のわしはお前様に逆らうことのできん立場でな。主従関係は複雑であろうと力関係ではお前様の方が上じゃ。お前様から命令があればそれがどんな不本意な内容であれわしは逆らえん。
僕はお前に命令できる立場にはない。
ならば危険ぞたわけ。
It has to be an order.
協力してやるがこちらからそう申し出るのは決まりが悪いので。
Read between the lines.
このタイミングで眠気をしての
Playing tsundere.
どう考えてもお前様に協力するために出てきておるじゃろうが。
お前も立派なツンデレだよ。じゃあ命令だ。カレンちゃんがどこにいるか探しやがれ。
Oh no, I'm ordered now.
こんなどうでもいい加藤なに従わねばならんのやら。まったくお前様はわしがおらねば何にもできんやじゃ。
He needs
いや
you.
はやどうしようもなく可愛いやつじゃの。妹子の血はお前様の血と構造的に似たようなもの
Probably
じゃ。
smells similar.
ならばわしにはその匂いおおよその場所はつかむことができる。
Where?
どうやらそこまで離れた場所ではないようじゃな。
Up. She's up high. That's my guess. I'm guessing up high because when we first meet her, she's like climbing on the wall a little
Maybe.
bit, and then
Like, are you up high because you're like looking out down below you in hopes you can find Kaiki.
We get that imagery of Kaiki as if he's standing over the city, preying on it. So maybe she's like, this is how he views the city. So I'm gonna go also to look at it from high up.
Yeah, I like it. Like bird's eye view.
Mm-hmm, bird's eye view. And like a bee flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Shinobu's shade of hair color. I feel like I've never seen it before, even though I'm sure that I have.
I love every single iteration of Shinobu in terms of like outfit. It's always the same color palette, but it is so good.
Are you gonna stay home and alone? Yeah.
If I had no brother, I'd be free. Oh no, we're lost.
Okay, that was Nisemonogatari Season 1, Episode 6. Senjukahara is gonna cut her hair. Like, it's gonna happen. It has to happen. I have never been so sure about anything in my life, and if I'm wrong, then that's just a continuation of dumb Ben, and that's fine. But I feel so much confidence in it happening. That being said, I don't know if that is the, like, condition that will be met.
See, the reason why I don't feel like that is what it is because this is supposed to be a request that she's asking of Aragi, and I feel like it's not going to be, Aragi, cut my hair for me. You know, like, I feel like with Hanakawa, like, it's she did it herself. Obviously, she probably went and got it done, but still, there was like she was alone in this decision in order to move forward. I feel like this request is not going to be the same thing, but it's the similar energy of this is something that she wouldn't have done before that is going to involve Aragi because she needs to ask and request something from him, but it's going to be something that kind of moves her to the next stage of her life where she can kind of rid herself of the crab completely because she doesn't feel like she's completely out of that kind of stage in her life because Kaiki hasn't been dealt with.
Yeah. I am like, again, I don't think it is the condition. I think it will separately happen. I feel confident about it.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine Senjukahara.
I know,
with short
I can't
hair.
either, and I am a massive fan of longer hair. I especially on Senjukahara, so I'm a little reluctant. But what the condition could be, I don't know. Like, one of my favorite episodes of Monogatari ever was our date that we got to meet Senjukahara's dad.
Mm-hmm.
I, in my heart, want something along those lines to be the condition.
Ooh. See, I was definitely getting something, I guess maybe the energy that was coming off of, like, especially the exit from that scene. I was almost reading it as, like, a romantic tension.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking the request is probably going to be something to do with them and their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Intimately, maybe. That was just the vibe I was getting by how the visuals and the
we have to
music
take
and
into
everything
consideration
was, like, going.
Master Hanakawa as well, right? Like, what personality and persona are we in within Senjugahara Tsundere that we're also, like, does the condition involve that nature of things as well? You know, the influence of Hanekawa, does that influence
Yes.
the condition? Like, is it like, I heard that this happened, can we do this, you know, or...
Right, I'm thinking that having Master Hanekawa kind of threaten in the way that she did could push Senjukahara to be like, this is the relationship I want to be in. I want to go to the next steps, maybe even in this relationship, to kind of lock down my man, you know?
I got really scared about Hachikuji leaving.
Right, why did Aragi have to scare us like that? That
Because
was so not fair,
He's
so not
Aragi
funny.
and it fits, and it needed to happen, but at the same time, like, there was also this energy throughout the conversation that it made me believe it could be real. Like how the interaction opened up and it being like Hachikuji's almost, it's not even devastated. It's like you've watched something die in front of you and you're like pitiful. Like, this didn't have to happen. Like you didn't at all show up. Oh my god, what the fuck's the point anyway? But then it turns into this like deeper conversation about, like, there's nothing more dangerous. What was the line? It was like
is it about the adults?
Yeah.
That it's better to be a kid that maybe like wants to grow up, or a kid who thinks they're an adult, than an adult that doesn't realize they're an adult.
Yeah. And there's like nothing more difficult to deal with an adult that thinks they're still a kid. Like that was a good-natured conversation to have after, you know, their first interaction of the episode. That coming after that, I kind of believed it for a second, and I was scared.
Could you read that line? We talk about foreshadowing in this episode. So there's a couple of wall breakages happening in this episode, as there normally are in this series. That kind of feels like the audience, us, is being kind of talked to directly. With Aragi obviously bringing up the fears of Hachikuji leaving, and then Hachikuji having this line about nothing more difficult to deal with an adult that basically doesn't want to grow up. Could you see that as like someday she would be leaving once Aragi reaches adulthood and maturity? Like this is like a figment of his like current youth, maybe? Is hanging out with her and having fun with her. I mean, what we see at the beginning of the episode, or beginning of his interaction with her, is the lack of sexual harassment, which another wall breakage is that scene where she's like, no Aragi with... It's just like, no sexual harassment with Aragi. Like, that's not Aragi. Who are you? Could you see that kind of flow of conversation and lines pointing to... he's going to grow and change, their relationship and dynamic is going to grow and change?
I looked at it more as like a parallel to talking about Kaiki, with like the line, an imposter with more power than the real thing is more dangerous than the real thing. Like it's like, I think of that as like the kid-like person and who is actually an adult, you know? Like it's like the irresponsibility and you're not awake to it.
So like an imposter with more power than the real thing would be similar, synonymous to an adult that won't recognize that they're an adult.
I think that could be it.
Yeah. I could see that. So like, okay. I mean, I'm obviously putting some fears out there just because foreshadowing was mentioned. We have had interactions with Hachikuji in the past about her leaving.
Within the past 6 episodes.
Tell us, yeah, you know, with Oshino leaving too. So I definitely feel like, and maturity has been brought up a lot as well. Like growing up, and the sisters are talking about how Aragi is like leaving them by maturing.
I guess I have some false sense of security about Hachikuji because of another thing she said this episode. She brought up that like, oh, well, his sisters must have saved people too, or like done things similar to how Hachikuji's able to walk around how she is now, right? Like that gave me some feeling that it isn't going to happen. She is going to be here. She was saved already by Aragi in that way, and it wouldn't be that next step. I mean, it could be, and it could be a pro, but
we're also talking about, with Senjigahara and Hanakawa, the idea of once this has been resolved, we then take the next step.
Yeah.
So with Aragi, we know that he can't necessarily do it maybe the same way that Hanakawa and Senjigahara and Sengoku, all of them can, because he's still attached to Shinobu. Like, their souls are incredibly intertwined now, and they're going to be in this contract forever, both suffering mutually, you know, to stay together.
Is this entire series, is Nisemonogatari? I mean, think about Bake. Like, we had so many different titles. We're staying on Karen 6 episodes in, and now we're talking about what's to come after. Is this like just an entire series about like solidifying what's gonna happen and that change that's coming? What's after this, you know?
Right. I mean,
how many episodes are in this, in Nisei?
That's a really good question, because I feel like it's already crazy that there's been 6 episodes dedicated to kind of one oddity. But we have been focusing on all of our other characters through this. And that's probably due to what we've seen with Aragi in terms of like how we've learned how he feels about his current position in terms of like not being completely human, and how he came to this situation with Shinobu, and how he feels at a distance from his family. And then these are the people that he trusts and he's close with that he involves behind the curtain. And then we're seeing the reveal to the people on the other side of the curtain about what is behind, what is oddities.
Yeah.
I can't really, like, even begin to guess what could be the rest of Nisemonogatari. Like, if it's not Karen B for the entire thing, would they do a Tsukihi oddity? Like, that's
I don't
where
know.
my mind goes.
I also don't know if I trust Tsukihi staying home, like, during this going forward.
So
part of me does, part of me doesn't.
The only reason that I feel like I trust that she's going to is, other than how she was talking in the kind of outro, is that once he said that he was worried, it had an emotional reaction on her, and that when he was saying he was mad exiting the door, I feel like there was probably a moment of, like, there was a lot of power in how he was emotionally speaking to her there, that I think it was resonating. At least that's what it appeared to be and how I interpreted it. So I'm going to say she's going to stay home.
Yeah.
And I liked his reasoning. It was like, I think Karen could convince you to go along with her. I was like, that's so fair. That's so fair.
Do you think that the author knew that they were going, like, the general idea for Nisemonogatari when, like, structuring Senjugahara's story as, like, what it was for Bakemonogatari?
Like, are you asking, do you think that the person that wrote this series had the intention to... We know from Bake that Senjugahara went to other people.
Yeah, like, when you
Araki
write that she went to other people, are you like, ooh, that, like, that's gonna be put on the shelf so I could potentially come back to that later? Because it's such a great connection.
Why wouldn't you think that? Like, if you came up with this idea and you have kind of Oshino being such a huge character for Araragi and even for helping Senjugahara, like, it makes sense that you would then maybe want to show the darker side. I mean, and if you're thinking about maybe an intended flow, I don't know what the intended flow was other than what we are watching, which is Bake and then Kizu and then Nisei. Because then you could say Kizu is what kind of opens the world up to the idea of, like, the blurred lines of people that take care of oddities. And
but also, like, the opening of Araragi's, like, the introduction to the world and of what it was. But more so, like, through Bake, we had Oshino, but after he's gone, for this to be, for somebody who, a character that is very important, has gone to before and was, like, literally the first thing that we dealt with, we're having to deal with this without Oshino, who is, like, a twisted twin in terms of how they're operating about morally, like, how they go about things. It's such a great person to be up against.
It's someone that I almost wish I could see an interaction with Oshino and Kaiki. Like, I wish that I could have Oshino here purely because I would be interested in what Oshino would say about Kaiki, how they would interact, how he would fight Kaiki. I don't know, how he would advise, just him being in the scenario at the same time, both having the air of, like, are they a con man, are they not, but both having the ability, you know, and whether they're an imposter or not.
It makes a lot of sense that Araragi's able to handle this because of vampiric ability. Didn't even think about that, but it makes so much sense.
It's still noticeable.
Yeah.
He still looks pale. He still looks sick to someone who knows him really well, meaning Hachikuji. But we didn't... Obviously, we tell Senjugahara, I guess, without so many words, what we've done. So we didn't really get to have her note that he looked sick. But I think one of my favorite things about the scene, there's a few parts of the scene with Senjugahara in her house that I would want to talk about.
Yeah.
One I would just want to look at, but before we would look at that, I would want to talk about what I think is one of the best parts of this scene is the building of the pencil tower. And then the pencil tower is knocked down as soon, and it's separating them. It is knocked down as soon as Senjugahara agrees to be together with Araragi on this, that they will go into this together. I will protect you, you will protect me.
I love it.
And it's like her defenses are then her tsundere. You know, everything is broken down in that moment because she's like, wow, I love this guy and he wants to protect me. We both have our reasons and our excuses to want to be involved in this.
Okay. What if
you were so cool.
What if she dies? So think about it, right? We have...
I don't want to think about it.
We've established that Araragi will die because we put foreshadowing in that that there's something that Senjigahara hasn't been able to say. But if you're doing that and being fourth wall breaking about that is what you're actually doing, saying that Araragi has the telescope in a drawer, and the fact that Senjigahara would be foreshadowed to stay alive would actually be her being foreshadowed to die.
Or is this just about changes and moving into another phase or stage in your life? Like, what's the Taylor Swift lyric? Like, the old Taylor is dead?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you could understand what I'm trying to say. Is that, like, maybe Araragi dying, the foreshadowing of that is that he's moving on to adulthood, or this current Araragi, or somehow we see an end to Shinobu and Araragi in the state that they're in, and not actual death.
I loved Shinobu so much this episode. It was amazing. What a... great.
Who wouldn't love the fact that she's like, no, order me, because like...
Okay, you wanted to talk about Senjigahara stuff, right?
Yeah, I wanted to rewatch. There was like this really beautiful visual of her like moving through stationery, and she was changing her outfit to like every outfit we've seen her in.
Yeah. And
I would just love to watch that again. Like, I want to appreciate it again.
Right here. Oh.
And the way she's like reacting is almost like how she was feeling at the time of each outfit.
Uh-huh. It's so good.
So she falls down in her outfit that she wore when she was getting cleansed of the crab.
So good. There was a lot of great animation this episode. At around 9 minutes in, when we bring out Kaiki's amazing business card, look at the shadows and everything of how she's folding it. Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
Wow, the Ghostbuster.
Oh yeah.
And we talked about how, you know, that name, it actually made her maybe trust him more. And it's not her fault that she got scammed for trusting the Ghostbuster. Because, like...
If you fell for this, it isn't your fault that you got scammed. Is that how it works? Amazing.
I think one of my last things is talking about whether or not Araragi would be able to defeat Kaiki, especially alone. We bring up the idea of being right versus being strong again, and we note that yes, Araragi is right, but that's strong against hypocrites, but weak against true evil. And then if we think about what Kaiki did, is like, we talk about his malice, that the malice, like, yes, Senjigahara's parents might have gotten divorced and probably were going to get divorced other than interacting with Kaiki, but he spurred it on at maybe a quicker rate, maybe a more immediate rate. He made their circumstances maybe even worse financially than they would have been if they had just gotten divorced later down the line.
Yeah.
He made them destitute. Like, he took so much money from them and preyed on the fact that they were having a failing marriage and their daughter was struck by an oddity.
There's a great line. Is it forgivable that he made it happen purely out of malice just because it would have happened sooner or later anyways?
That's such a great question.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's such an argument that an evil person would make too. Like, it was gonna happen anyways. Like, I was the one
to do it. Like, it would have been somebody else.
Yeah, and that's such a evil person's argument.
I think the word choice forgivable is the thing to hone in on, right?
I don't think Kaiki really even cares to be forgiven for anything.
Yeah, but I mean, from Senjigahara's point of view, like, even theoretically, like, like, you can... I wouldn't use the word forgivable, but less than forgivable and less apologetic than forgivable. Like, is it like, okay, I understand that that this was going to happen anyway, and it was just you that happened to be that person, right? It was like RNG. Out of all the awful people in the world, you were the one that specifically did something wrong to me. However, I wouldn't say that it's forgivable. It's understandable, but it's not forgivable.
So also bringing up forgivable in this phrase or sentence, and locking Senjigahara onto forgivable as, is it something I can forgive that he made it happen purely out of malice just because it would have happened sooner or later anyway? What that does is it can also remind you of one of the other topics of the conversation, like moving on to the next stage of your life. A lot of people feel like they need to forgive or forget, something happening to them, like a criminal doing a crime against their family, and they feel like in order to fully grieve their loved one that got hurt, they have to forgive the criminal or something, that is something that maybe she is debating for herself. Do I need to be able to forgive him in order to move on from this, or is forgiveness not something that I need here?
I mean, I one of my favorite through lines, I brought it up at the beginning of the discussion of do you think that the author had this idea in writing Bake, is just all about Senjigahara's what the blinders of the affliction of the crab were. And after coming out of it and seeing where to put blame and everything that did happen to Senjigahara and the fucked up position she was put in and her mother and everything. Yeah. But once we've moved on, how you're alluding to, that could be coming, it did happen. And because it happened, now we're at the place that we're at now.
But she's in an even more unusual place because of the fact that she wasn't able to feel these things at a time that anyone else would have felt these things. She's talking about, can I forgive this, or can I get over this? All these feelings of hatred I have, way after everything's already done, everything should have been felt by someone else, because she has a line about the fact that the crab blocked her from being able to feel the things that she should have been feeling at the time.
I feel like it's a rhetorical question when she's asking if it's forgivable, right?
Yeah.
It's
not.
Yeah, and then she says malice. Malice is something I have the monopoly on. We know that she said that she was going to go after him sooner or later anyways, regardless of this. And her emotional growth, because that's the word for it, when coming out of the crab situation, to then point a finger and identify Kaiki as who he is and her feelings towards him, that is that next step in growth,
Or in revenge.
I hate that word, growth. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm never going to use it again.
Well, now that you said it, and then you said you didn't like it, it made me think of the gross things someone would use the word for. Oh, you have a growth,
That's bad too. I just don't like it. It's not a good word.
Is there a word that you would use instead? Enlightenment.
Yeah, progress.
Uh-huh. Progress sounds a lot more like you can fall down a little bit, but it doesn't actually take you down a tier. You're making progress every day, even if it's little by little. Growth is
What's your favorite synonym for the word growth? Please comment them down below. You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.